I cried or if I laughed. I just remember I want my money back. I can't remember if it sucked or if I had a blast. All I know is at the end of the show, when the credits rolled, it said Filmtopiacast 3000.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Filmtopiacast 3000. I am your host, Greg McIver, and with me, as always, is...
Nicky Boom Boom.
Nicky Boom Boom. And again, welcome to another episode. We've got some films to talk about. We're going to start off this episode with a movie that both Nick and I saw just last week. It's called Dredd 3D. It's a touching, intimate story about a gardener named Dredd who tends the lilies in the field and then falls in love with the field hand's daughter. Or am I thinking of something else?
No, you got it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's definitely Oscar material.
Yeah, totally. It's a clean sweep at this year's Academy Awards. I honestly believe. No, honestly, of course, that's
Starring Anthony Hopkins as Dredd 3D.
Why didn't they get Anthony Hopkins for the role of Judge Dredd? I thought he would have been brilliant. No. Obviously, Dredd 3D is the latest film incarnation of the comic book character Judge Dredd. This one has about 99.9% less Rob Schneider than the other one.
Indeed.
And pretty much you could say the same thing about, not having, Sylvester Stallone as well. It's about 99% less Sylvester Stallone. You've got Mr. Carl Urban as Judge Dredd, and I think he does a fine job. Nick, what did you think of the movie?
I really enjoyed the movie. It's a lot of fun. One thing I appreciated in that they got Carl Urban is that he's somebody that he's a fine actor, and he's got star power in that he's got his fingers in a lot of franchise pies.
Totally,
yeah. He's I don't remember his name, but he's the writer of he's the main writer of Rohan in Lord of the Rings. Éomer?
Is that his name?
I think. We're gonna go with Éomer.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's right.
All right, our answer is Éomer.
And he's in Star Trek as Bones.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
And he's great. He was
in Riddick too.
He's in Riddick. Yeah.
So
he's gonna be in the new Riddick.
He's gonna be in the new Riddick as well. Absolutely. So yeah.
And this is the thing with him. He can do the gruff, gravelly voice in a way that's not silly like Christian Bale. And he can do the tough guy role. He can handle the action, but he's not an A-lister, and so they didn't feel the need to give him face time, which is good because Judge Dredd is never supposed to show his face, which is one of the things that made everybody so angry about the Sylvester Stallone movie.
Right.
Is that half the movie he had his mask off.
Yeah.
His helmet off.
Yeah, I don't know much about the actual comic book character, but that is something I did find out that I found out well after the first Dredd movie came out years ago in the 90s. Is that people were pissed off that. Yeah, Stallone goes about 90% of the movie without wearing the damn mask, and it's just like that was like a complete affront to all the Dredd fans out there. So.
I did see the original. I did. Yeah, it is. I guess. I did see the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd movie.
Yeah.
I blocked most of it out. It was a very long time ago. I did read up that they did give him, predictably, they gave him a romance with one of the other judges.
Right.
Which apparently, I didn't know that much about Dredd either. I did some Wikipediaing after we saw the movie. Apparently that's a no-no as well, because not just for Judge Dredd, but like, as a judge, you're not supposed to have a relationship with anyone, let alone another judge. Like that's
so they're like,
it's kind of like the Night's Watch.
I was gonna say it's the Night Watch or the Jedi. It's just what is it with these groups? They're just not allowed to love and no families. I mean, it's very akin to the priesthood almost. You get the Jedis, the Night Watch, the judges now. It's no.
They want to make sure you're not swayed and that nobody can get to you. If superheroes just were like not allowed to have loved ones, it'd be easier to get to them.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
Or be not as easy. You know what I'm saying.
My God in heaven, man. You're just lucky I'm too lazy to edit, so you're gonna hear all of that. Yeah, no, it's I guess in order to get into the Avengers of the Justice League pretty soon, you're gonna have to, take a vow of celibacy because, like you said,
castrate yourself with.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I don't think that's gonna be necessary.
No, with the tool of your choice.
Well.
Captain America with his shield. And Iron Man with his.
Moving on from the whole celibacy issue, yes, I thought Dredd 3D was pretty enjoyable too. There was nothing overly great about it, at least that I thought. I mean, the action was fun. I mean, it was pretty standard action fare, but it was still entertaining, enjoyable. There was nothing overtly offensive about the movie as far as.
Well, I do have one bone to pick.
Well, yeah, I think I know what you're getting at, and we'll get to that in just a second. You let me finish my critique.
Of course.
No, it's it's not overtly offensive as far as like a lot of forced humor or like wah wah jokes that so many of these big action movies try and push in. The action escalated nicely and it built upon itself and as they got closer to their goal the stakes rose a little bit. Again, it's not a huge movie. This is a very small movie, which I thought was very surprising when trying to reboot a franchise or restart, a possible franchise rather, because obviously Dredd wasn't a franchise because Stallone, cut that short pretty quickly with his little Rob Schneider outing. But yeah, you would think that they would want to present another huge, giant movie to the audience, and that's how you would get them to come see it and revitalize, the potential for the franchise. But no, this is a very small movie, very intimate, almost. But I think it works, on its own terms. I think it works, and yeah, I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, and apparently the screenwriter, who he's a British sci-fi author, and he's the guy that wrote 28 Days Later. And he wrote a movie called Sunshine.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either. I heard good things about it, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, he tried to adapt several of the Judge Dredd storylines, and every time he brought it to the studio, they were like, this is too hard to get into, this or that. We just really want to see a day in the life of Judge Dredd. And so that's how this was born, was that we just wanted to see one day where Judge Dredd is doing what he does. It's a pretty badass day too.
No, absolutely. That's one heck of a day. Well, I'm happy that they found a writer that seemed to be really into the source material and was actually willing to delve into the comics and
absolutely.
So perhaps with a sequel, we might get one of those storylines.
Which I would be excited for. This was a as you said, it was a fine production. It was 90 minutes of gritty fun. Gritty, actiony fun. I don't necessarily know that it needed to be in 3D, but it was cool. It was cool for if you don't know, a big part of the movie is them being on a drug bust. There's a new drug called slow-mo.
Yeah.
That makes it seem as if time is going. What is it?
It's like 1% of its real time. You know?
So like there were a lot of shots in the movie of very like. I think you would say like low shutter speed, where it's like everything just seems like it's moving so slowly, and it jumps out at you. There's one scene when we're introduced to the character of Mama, who's kind of the main villain of the movie. She's a queen pin that has taken over this one building, played by Lena Headey, who's awesome in the role.
Yeah, she's really good.
Manages to be a villain much more likable than Cersei Lannister, who she plays on Game of Thrones.
Interestingly enough.
Almost unrecognizable. And yeah, the opening scene with her, we see her like in a bathtub, just like dipping her hand in the water and like bringing it up and just watching all the water like drip down off her hand, but they make it seem like magical and cool.
Right, like the water is glistening and sparkling, almost like diamonds and such. So, a trippy aspect of the drug. And in that, it works very well with the 3D. It makes that look very, very cool.
Absolutely.
So, no, it's a very enjoyable movie, but you said you had a bone to pick with the movie.
I got a little bone to pick with the movie, and this is it. So, once again, on the whole, I really enjoyed it, and I do recognize there are no original ideas anymore.
Right.
Everything's been done. We can only recycle. But this is the thing. And I'm not the only one that's noticed this. It's the plot to the Raid Redemption, which I don't know if it was our last show or the show before, but I have a clear like admiration and love for the Raid Redemption.
Right.
if you don't know, it's an Indonesian action movie that came out earlier this year, and the plot of The Raid Redemption is that a bunch of cops are going into this giant criminal tower to do a drug bust and bring down the kingpin. And it's just this crack team of SWAT cops who are working their way up the tower, and once they're discovered in the tower, the kingpin and his 2 enforcers get right on the case, and the thing is that they have this entire tower, there's criminals living in it that they've allowed to live there, and the kingpin gets on a microphone, a PA system to the entire tower, and he's like, hey guys, there's a bunch of cops in my tower, why don't you kill them all, I'll give you a big reward.
Oh, okay, see, right there, this bears almost no resemblance to Dredd 3D, because this is the plot of Dredd 3D. It's a giant tower, a giant building, which is controlled by Mama, who's, like you said, the queen pin, and basically 2 judges get there to investigate a murder, and it ultimately becomes a drug bust, and then she gets on a mic and she says, this is Mama, there are 2 judges in the building, I want them dead. So I think you can see the huge difference right there.
Huge glaring difference. And then, so outside of just that one, like, the premise is kind of ripped off.
Okay.
There were, like, checkpoints as well that I noticed. Like, at one point in almost halfway through The Raid Redemption, Iko Uwais, who's the star of the movie, is dragging his buddy who's been injured.
Right.
He's dragging him along as he's trying to fight off bad guys, and they see a bunch of bad guys coming, but who haven't noticed them yet, so they buzz a resident of the tower and plead with them to let them in, and they're allowed in by this kind person. And the same exact thing happens in Dredd 3D, where Dredd and his partner are dragging. Well, actually, it's not an injured person. It's
a prisoner.
It's a prisoner they've captured. And
It's Avon Barksdale.
It is. It's Avon Barksdale from The Wire.
I thought that was so awesome.
And they buzz somebody to let them in, and that person does out of the kindness of their heart. There's a final showdown in like a narcotics lab. There's a part where, and it's all like around the same time in the movie. I'm like, really? There's one part where they get knocked out of the building and have to go back, but it's only a temporary respite. They have to go back in and finish the job. It's just several things like that. Now, now that I've, like, kind of aired my grievance, I will say they did these things, but they didn't... The movie isn't The Raid Redemption.
Right.
They've borrowed some heavy things from The Raid Redemption and made an excellent Judge Dredd movie.
Right.
And, but it's not just me that's noticed this. Like, I Googled Judge Dredd Raid Redemption, and it popped up right away in Google search. It was like, oh, other people saw this.
All right, yeah.
But they did say basically, well, now, Judge Dredd was wrapping up filming before The Raid Redemption had its release. I don't know though, man.
Well,
this can't just be some grand coincidence, because this is several.
No, this is not a coincidence.
This is not a coincidence.
No, absolutely not. But like you said, the film still works as a nice piece of entertainment. It's an excellent Judge Dredd film.
I hope they do make more.
No, absolutely. I'd be interested to see a sequel, because, again, this is not a very thought-provoking movie. It's not even very heavy on character either. It basically, like you said, it's what I guess the bigwigs wanted. They wanted a day in the life of Judge Dredd. So they've introduced the world, and they've introduced the characters. So this is a very good tentative step towards a series of films. It works very well as an introductory film, and I think it works because it doesn't try and do too much. So it doesn't it doesn't overload itself on the first outing. You see these people, you kind of see what they're about, you see the world, you see the rules established. Okay, they've gotten that out of the way with a fairly entertaining 90-minute little film. Now's the time to come out with your big action-packed blockbuster with hopefully some, more character development and some thought-provoking elements. So, yeah, I'm definitely down for the ride. And, yeah, they definitely borrowed heavily from The Raid Redemption. But, again, that was with a SWAT team. This is just 2 judges.
You're right. It's completely different.
Exactly. Okay. Don't be trying to. Yeah. No. cast your little conspiracy theories aside.
Forgive my crazy conspiracy theories.
That's okay. But yeah, Dredd 3D, recommend it. It's not a bad way to kill 90 minutes. It's a lot of fun.
It's a very fun way to kill 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Didn't expect it to be any more than it was, and yeah, I walked out having a great time.
Me too.
The end. No, I'm kidding. No. We still got a few more things to talk about.
So let's talk about some upcoming movies.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any other new movies recently. So.
Yeah, I haven't really either. I've been marathoning Sherlock on Netflix, and that's kind of taken away most of my life. There was one movie that I think we overlooked in our last episode, and I think we should be ashamed of doing so. It's this little movie called The Hobbit, which I think
a little indie feature called The Hobbit.
Yeah, it's about a guy that works in a coffee house, and his quirky coworker, I think who's going to be played by Zooey Deschanel, and she doesn't know how to act socially around people, and he tries to date her and stuff like that. And then
Schneider is The Hobbit.
The Hobbit. He tries to give her a gold ring, and she disappears on him. So I think it's going to be a really interesting.
Wait, did you just turn Zooey Deschanel into Frodo Baggins in that scenario?
Or Gollum, one or the other.
Oh, man.
one or the other. No, I kid, of course. Obviously, that's not the plot of The Hobbit. The Hobbit is the prequel to the Lord of the Rings story, involving the character of Bilbo Baggins, who we did see in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Played by Ian Holm, I believe.
Played by Ian Holm originally in Lord of the Rings, and this time being played by Martin Freeman, which...
Another person who is a fine actor and also has his fingers in a bunch of franchise pies. Martin Freeman is now going to be Bilbo Baggins, which is awesome and a great casting.
Absolutely.
He's also John Watson in the British version of Sherlock.
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic.
For those of you who are fans of The Office, the American Office, he played the role of Jim, who was called Tim in the original Office.
Oh, wow!
In the original
so awesome.
BBC Office.
Great change. I love it.
And he was in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, I was forgetting about that movie.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I've never
read it was a good movie, yeah.
I've never read the actual book, but
you should. There's a series of them, and they kind of condense everything into one movie to make it wrap up in one movie. I feel like they didn't want to do more for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
Maybe they just didn't think they could. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, I recall the movie with Mr. Freeman, and I believe Mos Def was in the movie.
And Zooey Deschanel.
Zooey Deschanel is in it?
Yes, she is.
Oh
she
my
plays
God.
Trillian is her name.
Trillian. That's a lot. I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. I vaguely remember seeing the movie.
Sam Rockwell as Zach's. Man, I don't remember their names. He had a funny name though. It was like Zach's Brattleby. Some nerd out there shaking their fist at me right now.
Oh,
but
that's okay.
But it was a fun movie.
And then Alan Rickman is the sad robot, right?
Alan Rickman is the sad robot, and Thomas Lennon from The State as the computer system.
Oh, really? Thomas Lennon was in that?
And from Reno 911. Yeah, he was this computer system on the ship that would be like, "Hey gang, don't want to alarm you, but asteroids are coming our way, and we're all about to be destroyed."
Aw, man, I have to go back and watch that entire movie now just for that fact, because I love Thomas Lennon. He's fantastic.
He's amazing. Like
you said, The State and Reno 911. Again, we should have actually called this show Getting Off Track, because we tend to do that a lot. Back to The Hobbit. Again, I think a lot of people are very excited about this movie. Obviously fans of the original Lord of the Rings movies and of the books, and I would fit into that category. I don't know if you've read The Hobbit, but I know you've seen Lord of the Rings. I have read The Hobbit, and
I'm very excited for this, just like a lot of other folks out there. I do have a little concern that they're trying to make The Hobbit into the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Which it's its own animal and a very different type of story. It's a lot more like fun and whimsical and not so heavy.
No, absolutely.
But Peter Jackson, I trust him, and I don't.
In Peter we trust, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest piece of news about this movie, I think this caught a lot of people totally off guard, was the fact that they cast Ian McKellen as Gandalf, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming.
Are you being funny?
I'm just saying that, I think a lot of people, were blindsided by that piece of casting. I mean, Ian McKellen as Gandalf the Grey. I mean, come on. I that would not have been my first choice, I would have, probably gone with, like, Wallace Shawn or somebody like that,
You're silly.
Well, I'm just saying, it was just an interesting piece of casting, but I think he's gonna do good in the role. Or at least I hope he will, because
I don't know if he can handle it personally.
Hey, I'm just saying. But anyway, yeah, The Hobbit. It looks interesting. Like you said, it's a very much more a whimsical tale. Because the original, the Lord of the Rings. I keep saying the original, because the Hobbit came first. Book.
The Hobbit did come first.
The Hobbit did come first, but movie wise, Lord of the Rings came first. Well, I guess modern movie wise, because I'm sure the animated version of The Hobbit came out years and years and years before Lord
That's
of the Rings.
true.
So.
The animated version of The Hobbit was an integral part of my youth, and actually gave me some of my first little like childhood scares. Like there's some to a little kid, there's some scary, disturbing stuff in that originally animated movie.
Okay, interesting.
Like I think the Gollum in that is scarier than the Gollum that they've.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like this horrible fish-looking thing, and you really.
Oh.
I know he does it in.
You stupid little hobbits.
No, specifically the noise that he gets his name from, the like, like
they do it a few times.
They do it a few times in the movie. They do, but like, I feel like there's more focus in the cartoon, or that just might be my childhood fear center, like warping everything. But
What
like,
are you trying to say? You don't like the Gollum in the movies?
I like the Gollum in the movies.
But the Gollum in the cartoon is just more deep and horrible sounding, my precious.
Oh, yeah. That does sound pretty horrifying. But, I keep saying, the original, when I refer to Peter Jackson's, trilogy, Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring was my first exposure to Tolkien at all. Like, I hadn't read or seen anything prior to that movie. And then once I saw that movie, I went out and I read everything, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. But that was my absolute first exposure. I didn't even see the animated Hobbit movie. Like, I was a complete newbie. I was, in fact, when they announced Lord of the Rings and, like, they showed the first trailer, I was in a movie theater with friends, and the movie theater was crowded, and they showed the trailer, and everyone just freaked out, and I was just like, why is everyone excited about this?
I'm ashamed to admit I had the same exact reaction. I was like, that looks cool. Why? Yeah. But I don't know what that is.
I was going to say, that looks like it might be exciting, but no, as soon as I saw the first movie, I was like, oh, that's friggin' amazing, and I went out and I read everything, but no, I'm excited about The Hobbit. Again, a much more whimsical story. It's because the Lord of the Rings stories, it's all about this evil force has reappeared back into the world. He's after this ring of power that could allow him to decimate everything, and we have to destroy it, and we've assembled a team. And in The Hobbit, it's more about these dwarves want their money back.
Yeah.
They want their money back, and we're going to send this little hobbit with them to give them a hand, And things escalate, obviously, as it goes on, but, that's essentially the crux of the story is go with them to help get their loot back,
And one thing I'm really looking forward to with this movie is, like, I like Bilbo a lot more than Frodo. Frodo is, I know he's...
Frodo lives, man.
Yeah, well...
Frodo lives.
He lives because of Samwise.
This is very true.
But the thing is, like, I'm sure Frodo's a nice guy, and he had a lot going on at that time, but he's not very, like, he gets stabbed a lot, and he's always got problems.
He does get stabbed a lot.
He, like, betrays his, he
almost
deceived into betraying his friend, and I don't know, man. Bilbo's just this fun, like, kind of, like, first, like, doddering and unassuming character that, like, once he gets wrapped up in this journey, he becomes, like, much more of, like, a trickster, and
that's true. He does have to use his intellect in order to get out a lot of these things. I mean, hence the encounter with Gollum, where, first he's in a dark cave, and he's just like, what's going on here? And then Gollum appears, and obviously he's terrified, but at the same time, he immediately is just like, well, why don't we play, a game? It was just like, that's a thinking man right there.
Yeah, let me improvise here.
Yeah, you don't really get a whole lot of that with Frodo, who just basically gets stabbed at pretty much every encounter that he has.
You definitely want to hang out with Bilbo before you'd want to hang out with Frodo, I feel.
Yeah. Less likely you'll get stabbed if you hang out with Bilbo.
As I said, like, you might, like, turn to offer him, like, you've just cut a piece of cake. Oh, you want some cake, Mr. Frodo? Stab! And the music gets all heavy and slows down.
Everyone stabbed him in the movie. I think even Galadriel, shivved him very slightly when he met her for the first time. Frodo Baggins. But no, I think they even worked that into the dialogue. It's like, where's Frodo? He's over there getting stabbed, I think. No, I think, I agree with you. Bilbo is a much more
Bilbo never got stabbed,
Bilbo never got stabbed, at least to my knowledge. But he's definitely a much more fun-loving character, I think. So that will be interesting to see. I will admit, though, when I saw the first teaser trailer for it a couple months ago when they released like the first footage, I watched it, and my very good friend Rick called me up, and he was just like, "What'd you think of the Hobbit footage?" And I was just kind of like, "I thought it looked boring," and he was like, "I thought it did too." Because it doesn't have the impact of Lord of the Rings, because most of the footage was just a bunch of dwarves and hobbits dancing around a table and drinking mead and getting knocked over, and Gandalf, face palming and being like, "Oh, what have I gotten into?" And then it's like The Hobbit. And I was like, "Oh, that's your precursor to Lord of the Rings." But this latest trailer that came out kind of solved that problem. There was definitely a lot more impact with this trailer, and so I am looking forward to it now. I wasn't before, but I am now.
I will say I do think it's a bit of a stretch to make this into 3 movies. Yeah. And I feel like that was a studio pressure thing because we had a trilogy with The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But that was a natural trilogy. Those were 3 books.
3 books, exactly. This is 1.
This is 1 book that's not as long as any of those 3 books.
The second movie is just going to be dedicated to 11Zs, and it's going to be a documentary about the whole process, I think. So that should be very interesting. I don't know. Again, like we've said before, in Jackson we trust. He gave us 3 great Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, we'll definitely see.
I guess we're going to get 3 great Hobbit movies, and I think he can do it. I think he can. We're fine. We're going to be fine with that. So,
knocking on wood.
Knocking on wood. No. I think we're in good hands again. Anything else on The Hobbit? No, I think we can move on from The Hobbit. If we think of anything else, it's a weekly podcast, so we'll just record another one. There's another movie that's going to be coming out. They actually just released the first still photo for this movie. It's called The Wolverine.
Yes, coming out next year.
Yep, coming out next year, starring Hugh Jackman, again, as the titular Wolverine. And I gotta say, this picture intrigued me because it had Jackson making a very angry face, and then he has claws coming out of his hands. Yeah. I didn't really see that coming.
No, yeah, me neither.
Hey! No. This story is supposed to take place in Japan.
Right.
This documents Wolverine's days, I guess, he was learning to be a ninja or something like that, or, I don't know what the dealio is with that storyline. I don't know the comics very well, do you?
He does a lot of things in Asia when he's there. Like when he's in Japan, he basically trains in martial arts, and gets involved in some of the Yakuza dealings because he falls in love with a crime lord's daughter named Mariko. And I don't know if they'll tie in his he had this whole other life as almost like a shady type character / secret agent / something when he was in Madripoor.
Oh, interesting.
So they might tie that into. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Wolverine's my favorite comic book character. Normally, if something's really popular, I'm like, it's bullcrap. I don't want to be into that.
Right.
But like every once in a while, something will get through, like the New York Yankees or Wolverine, where it's just like, no, I just like that a lot.
Fair enough.
And I don't know if you saw Wolverine Origins.
Oh.
But that hurt my heart quite a lot.
Yeah, that was kind of a painful movie.
That was very painful. We've discussed why several times. Let's give the quick recap here. Basically, like he goes on this revenge trail, and he says
basically, all right, if you bring me into this and you let me have my way, there's no quarter, there's no mercy given. I will rip apart anybody that gets in my way. And then he spends the rest of the movie, anytime opposition comes in, he's like, let's talk about this, and let's he gets into the boxing ring with the Blob and has a little boxing match, which, again, his first thing when the Blob was just like, I don't want to help you, he should have just popped the claws and, then, gone at him, you know? Same with, Gambit, too, sits down at the poker table, I need information, I'm gonna dick you around for a little bit, and then he should have just fucking popped the claws.
No, and should have been tackling him, get the claws in his face, tell me what I need to know right
exactly.
now.
I mean,
fucking gut you.
Again, I guess they needed to stretch the movie out, but I don't know. That's one of a few things.
There were many
yeah,
things,
exactly.
including Dude Peel and.
You mean Deadpool?
No, Deadpool never appeared in that movie except for at the very beginning when Ryan Reynolds did a perfect Deadpool at
Right.
the very beginning, and then they decided to make him the final boss of the movie by giving him everyone's powers and sewing
like-
up his mouth.
Just like Deadpool, right?
No, they turned him into Dude Peel.
Oh.
He's not Deadpool.
But I think they call him Deadpool.
No, I don't care. It's not Deadpool.
But
No.
so
No.
in the comics, he doesn't have 7-foot blades coming out of his arms, and he doesn't have the optic blasts like Cyclops.
No, and he can't teleport, and he talks a lot.
Oh,
so
they
you
didn't
can't sew his mouth shut.
Oh, they didn't.
Because that's not Deadpool. That's Dude Peel.
Oh. But you did say, though, that you thought Ryan Reynolds did a fine job at the beginning of the movie.
He did, and if they ever, like they have been talking about, I hope they finally go forward with making a Deadpool movie with him in it. That was going to happen, and then he did that Green Lantern movie.
Oh, yeah. Which I don't, this is going to be...
I didn't see it.
You're not missing much. I will go on record as saying this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I didn't hate that movie as much as everyone else hated that movie. I didn't like it, but everyone walked out of that movie just like, oh my God, this is the worst thing Hollywood has ever brought down on us. And I'm just like, where the hell have you been? This is not nearly as bad or offensive as some of the other things that Hollywood has released. Again, this is not very good. I think the only saving grace of the movie is the fact that Green Lantern's powers are so cool. That allows for creativity. But no, the movie's not good, but it's not nearly as horrible as a lot of people think. But I don't know.
It can't be worse than Wolverine Origins.
No, yeah, exactly. If you're trying to stack up Green Lantern to Wolverine Origins, you need to get your head checked, because Wolverine Origins was just an absolute train wreck. With some good actors that are just absolutely wasted.
Oh, it's not their fault, yeah.
No, not their fault at all.
Lieb Schreiber never should have been cast as Sabretooth. I have a million problems with the movie.
Right.
But anyway, I remember when that came out, I watched that and Dragon Ball Evolution. I watched that within like 2 days of each other because I just wanted to get them both out of the way. Those are two of my favorite things, Dragon Ball and Wolverine. I was just like, oh man, this is gonna hurt so much. all right, let's just do it. I gotta watch them, and I did it. And
Dragon Ball couldn't have been that bad.
It was worse than Wolverine Origins. It was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
It was.
Oh.
We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
Now, so that's but just to make you understand my trepidation even going into another Wolverine-focused movie.
Right.
That's where that comes from.
Okay.
And also because I'm pleased, I like all things Japanese, so I'm pleased that they're focusing on the Japanese portion of his life.
Yeah. It should be interesting.
It could be cool. It could be very cool.
They've got the Silver Samurai.
The Silver Samurai is supposed to be the
introducing.
main villain, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did poke around a little bit since we said we were going to talk about this. I guess the guy that's directing this is the same guy that did Walk the Line and a movie I liked very much called Identity. And also did 310 to Yuma, which
was
a pretty good movie that
I like 310 to Yuma,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
His name's James Mangold.
Interesting. That somehow slipped underneath my radar. I had no idea that guy was at the helm. So I think we got potentially a very good movie.
Not as exciting though as there was the talk that Darren Aronofsky was.
Yes. Oh my God. Everyone flipped the hell out when they heard that. That's like amazing. This fantastic director with so much good work under his belt was going to tackle the Wolverine, such a visceral and dark character in the comics. And
Darren Aronofsky, if you guys don't know, is the guy that was at the helm of Pi and Requiem for a Dream and The Black Swan most recently.
The Wrestler. So
The Wrestler. Yeah.
That
would have been really cool, but James Mangold should be cool too.
No. He's got a lot of good work on his belt, but. Again, after the disappointment of the Wolverine movie, or I'm sorry, the X-Men Origins Wolverine, which
it's just hard for me to believe again.
No, I know, and I think a lot of people were very, very happy when they heard about Aronofsky, like, oh, he'll bring Wolverine, he'll save us, he'll bring Wolverine back to where he needs to be. He won't allow Roger Rabbit-esque claws to pop out of his
hands. They looked awful.
Oh my God, the claws looked like the singing sword towards the end of Roger when he pops the claws in the bathroom. I thought they were going to start singing to him, "Wicked Witch now." So it was just again one of many things that went wrong with that movie.
Two other things I found about.
Jimmy.
Oh, jeez.
That's Wolverine's real name, by the way. And they were just insistent.
Like no one calls him ever.
Yeah, like no one calls him ever, but they were insistent on Sabretooth as opposed to calling him, Runt or anything like that.
Sabretooth should be like your drunk, mean,
older,
abusive uncle.
Yeah.
A sawed-off little runt.
But instead it was just a lot of Jimmy, back to back.
They say back to back.
They said back to back at one point. I was so happy when they said that because you get to a level of awfulness and you see it approaching and you're just morbidly curious. Can it get that bad? Can it get that bad? And then they say something like back to back and you just zoom past the finish line and you're like, we've achieved it. Oh.
It's the event horizon.
It is. Absolutely.
Two other things I found out about the Wolverine, which we're looking forward to here. So the Silver Samurai is going to be played by I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was the blanket ninja in Elektra.
Oh my god!
The white blanket ninja.
Oh!
Now,
oh no!
Elektra's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah, I still feel bad about dragging you to that. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It was a Marvel movie, so
yeah, it was a Marvel movie.
I was like kind of honor bound to see it.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner's cute, and it looked like she was in the red costume this time, so it looked
the first
like
10 or 15 minutes were like, oh hey, this could be okay, and then it just like nosedives. Anyway, so the white blanket ninja is gonna be the Silver Samurai.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll be less blankety and more silver.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was a problem.
One thing I'm very excited for though is there's a guy named I think it's Shingen. I don't remember his surname, but
I'm never having you remember names ever again.
Well, anyway, there's a mafia boss in the comic that
daggers are popping out of his eyes right now at me for even yeah.
Anyway.
Stop staring at me with those piercing eyes.
I'm not.
All right, go ahead.
So the crime boss that is going to be in the Wolverine, who Wolverine falls in love with his daughter, Mariko.
Right.
So this is going to be played by a guy named Hiroyuki Sanada.
Okay.
And I was like, that's familiar. What else has he been in? This dude was in a great samurai movie called The Twilight Samurai, which I think was nominated for Best Foreign Film at the Academy Awards a few years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
He also, if you've seen The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, he's the badass, awesome dude. Him! The guy that gets shot in the chest and just spits out blood and is like, whatever. I'll keep
yes! Oh,
this is nothing. Just a little shot in the chest.
And he bats Tom Cruise around with a wooden sword.
He beats the hell out of Tom Cruise.
Yes, okay. That's cool.
Also, if you're a fan of Lost, he played a character named Dogen in the last season, who I didn't like very much, but that's okay.
Okay.
Because he was the badass dude from Last Samurai.
No.
He can kind of do whatever he wants.
And
now he's going to be in a Wolverine movie.
Hey, that's pretty cool. So he's playing the mob boss then.
Yeah, he's going to be the mob boss that Wolverine falls in love with his daughter.
Interesting. Well, another thing to look forward to. I didn't see the last season of Lost, so I can't comment on that aspect, but I did, of course, see The Last Samurai, and now I'm interested in seeing this, what you said, Twilight Samurai it was?
The Twilight Samurai.
Okay, yeah, no, I gotta check that out as well.
Great moving. It's like the end of the samurai era, and it's almost like, why are we still being samurai? But we're still honor bound to do our thing, and so they do.
Yeah, right. No,
really great movie.
No, interesting. No, I gotta check that out. All right, so we got some good, interesting casting for the Wolverine movie. Again, an interesting exotic locale. So
we'll see how it goes.
Potential for a good story. So hopefully Mr. Mangold, can pull it. Mangold, I am Mangold, can pull it out of the depths of despair. That was created by the X-Men Origins Wolverine.
And he's not Darren Aronofsky, but he has done. He can get dark. Like he did. He's this guy that did Girl Interrupted as well.
Oh, he did that one as well.
He did that one, and Johnny Cash gets mad dark in Walk the Line.
Well, he is the Man in Black.
He's the Man in Black.
Bitch, move. Sorry, that's a little in joke from the state. Yeah, sorry about that. This whole show is filled with in jokes. The humor is none of your business.
Exactly. None of your business, audience.
None of your business. Stop listening. No, I'm kidding. The podcast that tells you to turn it off. God, no, don't, please. No. As everyone switches.
All right. Do we have anything else to talk about?
Do we have anything else to talk about? Let's see. We covered Dredd 3D. We covered The Hobbit. We covered the Wolverine. I don't know. I am tapped for this episode. Do you? Is there anything else that you're itching to really jump into for at least, or briefly at least,
So let's see. I found out that they're making another Universal Soldier movie.
Oh, okay.
Wherein they clone Jean-Claude Van Damme's character. Wait. So
what?
It's actually it's Scott Adkins who's really good young. Well, he's not that young anymore. He's been in the game a while, but
okay.
He's an action star, and it's gonna be him with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So it's gonna be like the Universal Soldier and his clone fighting side by side against Dolph Lundgren's evil clone army.
They're bringing him back.
This could not have been possible without the Expendables, by the way.
Oh, no, absolutely not. There's absolutely no way they would do this.
So that's terrible and kind of exciting.
That is terrible, and in a terrible way, that is a little exciting. I could honestly care less about this. It's been years and years and years since I saw Universal Soldier. I actually think I saw the sequel before I saw the first one. And this was back when I had access to HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Those movies are... They exist. That's all I can really say about the movies.
They do exist.
They
that's
exist.
For sure.
So, it'll be cool to see Mr. Van Damme on the screen again. Kicking ass. I mean, he has had a bit of a resurgence. Obviously with the Expendables 2, which got rave reviews, and then I guess JBD was
JCVD.
JCVD
was actually a very good movie.
Okay.
You should definitely check out JCVD at some point. It's just like a very serious. It gets silly sometimes, but it's a more intimate look at like what it's like to be him.
Interesting.
All
right.
In the background of a bank heist of which he's one of the victims, and kind of it's almost like a dissection of what it means to be like an action star in the real world type of thing, because there's nothing he can really do.
Right.
In the bank heist setting, when in all these movies it's like, oh, well, I would be kicking that guy and then jump kicking that guy and then doing a split.
Exactly. No, that's interesting. No, I haven't seen JCVD, but...
it's good stuff. Yeah.
No, I definitely gotta check that out. So, alright, so Universal Soldier on the horizon.
Day of Reckoning. Universal Soldier, Day of Reckoning.
Well, I'm sure there's a colon involved in this movie somewhere. No, okay, so we got that. We get that going first.
And then one other thing to briefly mention. I've been seeing posters around for this movie called Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's, like a kid's movie.
Yeah.
And I went to look up what it was a while back, and I saw Adam Sandler was involved, and I was like, yeah, that was my reaction. I was like, that kind of ruins it for me. I thought this might be fun.
Right.
But I probed a little deeper last night and found out the director is a man named Genndy Tartakovsky.
Oh, that's awesome!
If you guys don't know, Mr. Genndy is the creator of Dexter's Lab. He's also the creator of a couple other Cartoon Network shows like Billy and Mandy. He directed Powerpuff Girls for a while.
Yeah.
He didn't create it, but he did direct it for a long time.
No, he's great.
He's also the man who made the best thing to come out of the Star Wars prequels, which was a series of cartoons focusing on the Clone Wars.
Right,
which
I remember
were
those.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just awesome.
So he actually brought some light and some, dignity to the story that was presented in the prequels.
Absolutely. And Samurai Jack, he did Samurai Jack as well. So he's great, and he's at the helm of this. It's his first feature film, I believe.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of makes me want to see it. I don't think I'll go see it in theaters because I don't have children.
Right.
But I would be excited to see it once it came out on DVD or whatever.
Yeah, I think they got some good voice talent too. I was heading out of the movie theater a couple weeks ago, and I was hearing an advertisement about it. I think Steve Buscemi's doing a voice.
Steve Buscemi's in it.
Who else is doing
it? It is Adam Sandler as the Count, and then Selena Gomez, I think, is his daughter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
I remember hearing that too.
These two are teaming up a lot. Andy Samberg.
Oh, cool.
Is going to be in it too. So another Sandler-Samberg collab.
Interesting.
Which I think is fun because they have similar sounding names.
I get, yeah.
And they're kind of like generations of SNL too.
Yeah, that's true.
I just as a quick caveat on this, I really liked Adam Sandler back in the day. Like I was thinking about this and going back and listening to like, it's really juvenile humor, but like really funny juvenile.
But we were
humor.
juveniles back then.
And
though.
I was a juvenile back in the,
Yeah.
you know, and he had these audio recordings that he would come out with, featuring the buffoon and the story of the goat, if anybody remembers that. And they were like little skits on his albums that he would come out, and some like pretty good and funny songs too.
Oh yeah, the Hanukkah
and
song.
I'll get behind like his first, say, like 4, maybe even 5 feature films that he did, like
right.
Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
so funny.
No, those aren't pretty funny.
He been limping along since then, huh?
Well,
No?
I think you know,
last like 10 years.
I
or
don't know.
something.
It might have been a novelty. It's just I think again bringing up my friend Rick for the second time in this episode. He did mention to me once, and I kind of agreed with him that he just looks tired in a lot of these new films he's done. You know, it's just like he can barely get us the strength to actually stay in line. And you think, oh, okay, because he's gearing up to do that, you know, yell that he does all the time. But it never really even makes it to the yell anymore.
That's a good point.
It's kind of because in the other ones he would do that, and then he would kind of build up to a yell.
Yeah.
But he didn't really do that too much anymore. Every once in a while, but for the most part, it's just kind of him talking like this. Well, I guess I'm in another movie. Yep. Here I am.
Yeah.
So I don't know. As much as I like to kid and make fun of Mr. Sandler these days for all the awfulness that he's bringing to the world, yeah, I like Billy Madison. I like Happy Gilmore. Those are fun movies. They had some very fun moments. I think he was younger. I think he was in his prime. I think he had a lot of energy and a lot of creative ideas, which generally involved him yelling into the camera, but still funny, and he was able to pull it off. You know. Yeah, so he's the voice of the Count, eh?
He's gonna be the Count, but it's a Gendy Tartakovsky. It's a Gendy Tartak. Go see Hotel
man.
Transylvania, because
What are you doing?
the guy that made Dexter's Lab.
The guy that made Dexter's Lab
director.
deserves more than that. Gendy Tartakovsky.
There, we did it.
There, we did it. We said it. We're so sorry if you happen to be
Mr. Gendy.
listening, Mr.
He's
Gendy.
not listening.
Mr. Gendy. I sound like Winston Churchill talking about India. I have to get Mr. Gendy out of India. Anyway. Unless there's something else you had to mention, I think we're pretty much done with this episode. And
that concludes my comments.
Yeah, I think we're done with this episode. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. No, I'm kidding. I'm obviously kidding. You know, again, we appreciate all of our listeners out there. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Filmtopiacast 3000. We'll be back next week, and surprise, surprise, we're going to talk about movies next week.
That's right.
I know it's a little out there. It's a little bit of a left turn from what we normally do, but yeah, that's what's going to happen. So tune in next week for more movie talk. I am your host, Greg McIver, and this is
Nicky Boom Boom.
And again, thank you for joining us, and have a great one.